A teenager accused of being responsible for a bonfire explosion in Pulaski last October is back in court today.
Prosecutors say the alleged actions of 18-year-old Samuel Armstrong led to the injury of several teenagers, some of them severe. It's a story we've been following now for almost a year. Armstrong is accused of tossing a 55-gallon plastic drum containing a mixture of diesel fuel and gasoline on a large bonfire in October of 2022. Several teenagers suffered second and third-degree burns. Some spent several weeks in the hospital. A few victims sat in court today along with Armstrong. Brittany Schmidt joins us now in the newsroom to tell us what happened. Brittany.
Bill, those victims and their families sat in the back row today for Armstrong's arraignment. It only lasted about 5 minutes. Armstrong walked in with his defense attorney, Greg Petit. He faces 13 felony counts of injury by negligent handling of explosives or fire. Each count carries a max sentence of 3.5 years in prison if convicted. The court entered not guilty pleas for Armstrong on his behalf for all counts. Here's why Armstrong's attorney didn't enter them himself.
Normally we'd like to have made a plea today, but I understand that the state victim witness coordinator needs a bit of time because of the number of victims in this case. So we're going to stand mute today.
The victims in the courtroom also did not address the court today, but one of the victims' mothers, Tammy Britchkuski, did write a letter to the judge. In it, she describes how her son Brandon suffered severe burns on 40% of his body and spent 42 days in the burn center. They had to take time away from their family-run small business to take care of Brandon. She describes the toll it took on her employees, saying their well-being cannot be understated. She says, quote, "The impact of their wrongdoing goes beyond the immediate suffering of Brandon. It has affected our family, our business, our employees, and the community at large." She asks justice be served. Armstrong is back in court in December. Cammie, Bill.